I'm like, why are we not working on D-zone coverage? And Bryan was like, hey, well, it's late in the season. I don't want injuries. I'm like, Bryan, I'm not saying we go out here and we're just trying to pulverize each other into the boards, like a little bit of structure. And so I opened it up with that, and then I waltzed into like, hey, that's supposed to be where I'm good. I'm an unrestricted. I just straight up told him, I'm like, Bryan, why did you trade for me? I go, this has been a catastrophe so far. Like, give me a shot. Like, give me some minutes and let me see if I can do a little something. So anyways. And Bryan did, and then I led their team in playoff scoring.
Clearing the crease. Oh. Clearing the crease. Hey, hey,
Hey, we are back, everybody. It's the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by Ozoon.net. The Calder Trophy winner, the Razor, Andrew Raycroft, the Cup winner, everybody's favorite Commie, Mike Commodore, and I'm Cebulski, the one, number 3, the bronze medalist. At least I'm still on the podium, guys. Razor, let's dive in, man. We're down to the Frozen Four as we record this. You gave a big shout out on national television to Commie. Yes. Everything's happening right now for the podcast.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Yeah, it was a blast to watch Commie's North Dakota Sioux just put the beat down on the East Coast teams out in Sioux Falls. 8-0 combined in 2 games. They're a wagon, so it was perfect timing to give the Stanley Cup winning Commie a little love. Frozen Four will be great. A couple weeks, and these teams are stacked, so it'll be great.
And Commie, you got you saw the shout out.
I did see it. Yes, I did. I was texting. I was jokingly putting some heat on Razor. There was a name change in North Dakota a while ago. I prefer the old one along with most of the alumni. I was trying to get him like, come on, Razor. We went back and like, obviously I was kidding, but he's like, hey, I can't. I got to say Fighting Hawks. I'm like, hey, well, what about it? So Razor actually said, you know what? If they get up 5-0, I'll say it. Well, sure enough, it was 5-0. And then so I messaged Razor. I'm like, 5-0. He's like, man. So I knew he wasn't going to. I was joking around, but I was sitting at the bar watching it. And then, they had the basketball game on the sound, so I couldn't hear anything. But then in the captioning at the bottom, I saw my name pop up, and I was with a couple of guys, so we were laughing. And I got a couple text messages too about it. So thank you, Razor. And yeah, my Fighting Sioux had a pretty big weekend. It was good for my Ozoon account, I'll tell you that. when you outscore your opposition when it's 8-0 total, and you're taking puck lines, that math works out pretty good.
Raycroft, you must get nervous. You're on set and you're getting live texts from Commodore. Like nothing good comes out of that.
No, it's right. The best. It's the best. But yeah, I was trying to think of a way I could pull it off, but it just the producers were not gonna let me give any rope to that one. But anyways.
Yeah. And I think your employment on a national broadcast probably wasn't going to lie.
Yes, no.
Razor, your Western bias starting to show out here as a former Canuck and former Av and former Star. Look at this, man. You took North Dakota, and as you mentioned, they look like they are on fire.
Yeah, between them and the Oilers, I'm really I'm going west, folks. I'm going west.
There you go. Oiler great. Andrew Raycroft, you heard it here first. Hey, don't forget, everybody, if you are enjoying the show and having a good time with us, so we love having you joining us here. Make sure you make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube if you're following along. Leave us a 5-star review if you're listening on Apple or on Spotify. Make sure you're following along for additional social content, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, or wherever you're tuning in from, because the Clearing the Crease podcast is powered by Ozoon.net. The road to the Stanley Cup, wide open. The clearest route to winning big is to play on Ozoon.net. It's got you covered. Ozoon's got you covered for all the props, game lines, futures from right now until the Stanley Cup final and way beyond. Hey, baseball's happening again now, so you can make your power play and score big with Ozoon. Your turn is now. Okay, boys, let's dive into, let's get right to our Saturday night special. There's only a few of these left in the season. We've been right there. We've had a couple of big wins over the last few weeks. We've also been right there. So let's get back on the winning track this week. Saturday night special. Let me start things off. Give me the Kraken in the heat of the battle right now in the Western Conference. Give me Seattle on Saturday at home to take down Chicago.
I got the Ducks. I got the Ducks taking on the Calgary Flames. Obviously, the Flames are long gone. They want to get those high, nice top picks. And the Ducks are going to be in a battle for first place in the Pacific. You're going to want to get that and dodge the other team. So I'm taking the Duckaroos.
To finish off the Saturday night special, I got a big weekend coming. You know, maybe this isn't the smartest game to pick, but I'm going to be in Dallas for the Dallas Stars Alumni Weekend. Before anybody looks it up, no, I did not play for the Dallas Stars, not even close.
Honorary.
But I'm an honorary alumni member because I'm buddies with the owner. I've been invited lots of times. I've kept saying no because I'm like, man, I feel like it. But I did play 5 games for the Texas Stars. So that's how I'm going to play it up when I get there. Anyways, long story short, I'm going to be at the game in Dallas, 2:00 afternoon start. Dallas taking on the Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh.
I can't be sitting there, being a fake alumni and cheer for the Avalanche. So go Stars. I'm taking the Stars to beat the Avs on Saturday afternoon.
More Western bias. Hey, for everybody who talks about, Toronto is the center of the universe and this Eastern bias, look what we're repping this weekend. It's all about the West because it's the best. So there's your 3 winners this week, courtesy of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by ozoot.net. Okay, the big news this week, kind of making notes the other day. Okay, what are we going to talk about this week? What are we kind of dealing with playoffs? And all of a sudden, we had just talked about this a week prior with our guest, Rick Rowley. And boy, would the Oilers ever consider firing their coach this late into the season? Well, Las Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights basically come to the rescue and say, hold my beer and let me show you how it's done with less than 10 games to go. Bruce Cassidy, my old next door neighbor way back in the west end of Ottawa, out in Vegas, replaced by John Tortorella. Torts is back again. How do we feel about this one, Commie?
Well, you know what? I kind of like it. I know a lot of guys hate John Tortorella. I don't know him. I do like listening to him. His clips are great. I think anybody that's in media loves the fact that he's back because it's basically a guarantee he's going to give you something. I don't mind the move at all either. I know it is late, but Vegas hasn't been very good since the Olympics, like at all. They're in the Pacific Division, so it's probably going to be fine, but still, they haven't played well at all. I would assume maybe if it was me sitting there in Vegas and I'm watching my team and it's not looking very good, and I know the Columbus Blue Jackets have cooled off a little bit, but they did usually there's a little bump, you get a few wins, you're playing for a new coach. Usually you play a little harder. You don't know, you want to get off first impressions means something. So I would assume they're probably looking for that little bump. You get, a 3-4 game bump and they're going to win the division there or come very close to it. So I like the move. It makes sense to me. And I'm interested to see how it's going to work out.
Leave it to Vegas, right? Leave it to Vegas to be crazy. And they just continually go outside of the rules of the NHL and do whatever it takes to win at any cost. And this cost is Bruce Cassidy's job. And obviously something was wrong there. Commie just said the record was since January 17th was 8-16-3. Just ugly. And that team has way too much talent to be looking at those kind of numbers. And something needed to be done. They do it now. And now, as I thought, Edmonton was just going to roll through everybody in the Pacific Division. Edmonton, Vegas could be very, very interesting now. Because I think to Commie's point, Torts is he's going to bring the heat. It's going to be a different voice. They're both hard coaches, but Torts does it in a bit of a different way than Bruce Cassidy does. I think that'll be refreshing for the guys. And he's going to have them playing hard. He's going to have Jack Eichel blocking shots. He's going to have Mitch Marner blocking shots. He's going to get those guys going. And he commands respect right out of the gates. He really does. He's won a cup. He's had success. And I think it wouldn't probably have been a good idea for most other teams. But for Vegas at this time, John Tortorella, it seems to me that it's going to work well and can put them back on path, back on the tracks.
There was a great social media post from Eric Johnson who posted the other day right after this all went down, kind of pointed out like, look, he really liked Torts for the fact that I think a lot of star players have benefited from playing under Torts, where, you know, he obviously has his high expectations, but the one thing that Eric Johnson talked about was like, look, you know where you're going to stand.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know where you stand with that guy one way or another. So obviously, you know, if you're working hard and you're producing, it can't be all bad, right?
Well, that and the fact it's only 8 games, right? It's not like you're going to have to deal with Torts' skate at the start of training. You can't do a training camp skate this week. He can't do some of the stuff that he does, and he can't go through the healthy scratch book like he does as well. Like he's going to get somebody this week, no question about it, just to set the tone, but he can't do it on a consistent basis. So for those reasons as well, you change the voice, but you put a guy in who knows how to win the playoffs.
Commie, like it's funny. Like the one thing that is, and Razor, I guess we'll go to blame the goalie here again, but you know, I think back, there were 2 brief instances when Mark Crawford and Paul Maurice worked for TSN as, you know, became analysts while they were looking for a gig, and obviously
keep their name out there.
keep their name, stay
Name
visible,
and
as
face
Torts
out.
was doing. Torts was doing recently, right?
He was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
for
just
sure.
like, kind of in the waiting room, right? I think Talkett made a good, you know, worked out for him pretty well for a few years for TNT. But I remember both of them saying at different times, you know, I think Mark Crawford once said, you know, show me a good coach and I'll show you a good goalie. Mm-hmm. And I remember Paul Maurice kind of echoing that at his time, saying every great coach's speech lives and dies on the goalie, on the goal line, if you will. And, you know, I think, look, Torts can yell all he wants, but I just, Vegas isn't getting any saves. Like that's a real problem right now. It just seems like for what seemed to be a position of strength for so many years for Vegas. I mean, they just won a cup a few years ago. It hasn't been the case this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, it's a very good point. I mean, if you're not getting any saves, now I don't like to just pin everything on the goalie either.
Well, but we like to blame the goalie here, Razor, right?
Yeah, we do. They suck.
I mean, the team defense does, you know, the D-men can help out, the forwards coming back. I mean, at the end of the day, defense is a team thing. But yes, I mean, when it boils around down to it, if you're not getting any saves, it's pretty tough to win hockey games. But I do like the move, like I said, like, and I agree with you guys on like some of the start. Like there are some guys that love Torts too. Like I wasn't just torching them, but like I said, I don't know. I keep seeing he comes up on my feed all the time with like his animal rescue. He loves dogs, so he can't be that bad of a guy.
Exactly.
So I'm cheering for Torts.
Well, and that goalie angle, like Bruce Cassidy can be hard on the goal. Like he's not shy to come in after a game and say, yeah, we needed a save there. Yeah, we needed a save there. We you know, he does that. And I think that can, for Adin Hill, he's won a Stanley Cup. This is his team. John Tortorella can go in, give him a big hug, say, we're going to support you. We're going to block shots. Our guys are going to track back. You just need to make that first save. Everything else is good. I think that change in that respect, just having as a goaltender, having a guy that's different behind the bench can be effective for a player just as much as a goalie.
Well, I mean, what? Tampa, the Rangers, Philly, Columbus, Vancouver. I mean, now Vegas. I mean, he's basically covered a fifth of the league now. I will say that the experience here when he was in Vancouver was, I would think he'll be way more motivated to where he was living in Point Roberts, which, you know, with traffic, it was almost an hour drive from the rink. And oftentimes he skipped morning skates. He had a beautiful place for all the dogs to roam around here. He had acres for days out here, but you know, all right, we shared the same barber. And it was like, man, you could clearly see that when he got to Vancouver, it was like quickly recognized, you know what? This core does not have it anymore. Not my circus, not my monkeys. It just kind of checked out. But look, I think to your point, Commie, here for a good time, not a long time in Vegas. And I think, look, you've got this core you're committed to. You know, let's see what you can squeeze out, because clearly the message was gone with Bruce Cassidy. Well,
it's a great opportunity for him too, right?
Oh,
I mean, you're coming in here with 8 games left in the season with a team that has players that, you know, they have won, like we just talked about, you know, obviously health and goaltending and stuff like, but you're sitting there, you go, I got 8 games in a playoff run. You're in the Pacific Division. This could work out very, very well for me. Like Absolutely. With very little, right? I don't have to do training camp. I don't have to do the whole season. I don't have to do all that stuff. I'm just rolling in here right before the playoffs. So it's a great opportunity for him too.
Well, and a nice tease for a segment coming up later in the show. Don't puck it up, Torts.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
it.
That makes sense.
There's Vegas, like doing it again, the unconventional, and they continue to get results. So let's see if this move pays off. Okay, so let me throw this one at you, Razor. Bruce Cassidy, Pete DeBoer, two very high-profile coaches now available, guys with tons of experience. One, championship. They've been to the finals multiple times between the two of them. Who would be the better hire in the future, do you think?
Ooh, I think DeBoer is a little higher on that list, would be my guess. It certainly depends on the team and the situation. There's no question there's two NHL coaches that have a job right now that are getting fired at the end of the year for probably both of these guys. Bruce Cassidy and DeBoer are going to coach in the NHL next year. I think you look at two different teams. You look at an LA Kings team, they're going to need a coach. I would expect DeBoer would be perfect there.
Okay, let me localize this then for you here.
Yep.
Toronto makes a move on
Correct.
Berube.
Oh boy.
DeBoer or Cassidy? You got to pick one of them.
I'll say it's so for that one. I think DeBoer there too. If they made
Commie.
that move.
Okay, so you're going DeBoer. Okay, Commie, Edmonton. They move on from Knobloch in the event that they falter this year. DeBoer or Cassidy in oil country?
As much as I would like to not say the exact same thing Razor just did, and I don't know if I've heard a lot of great things about Cassidy. I don't know him though. And that I have met that DeBoer and heard a lot about him. I'll go with DeBoer. I think he's a pretty good. I mean, he hasn't won a cup. He hasn't gone the whole way, but his teams are always very competitive. He gets the conference finals, etc., very regularly. And he seems like a good dude. So I will go with DeBoer as well.
Let's say in the event that Adam Foote doesn't survive the full year, beyond a year in Vancouver, Razor, the former Canuck great, future Ring of Honor potential goaltender here, Cassidy or DeBoer in the event that they would dare want to be involved with a rebuild.
Oh, God.
Which I
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think either one of them are signing up for that one. But yeah, I don't see that even happen. I wouldn't even throw either of those names out. I think you're going with the young guy there. Cassidy's the guy. Cassidy's more. The reason why I didn't pick him for either Edmonton or Toronto is because of the big stars. I don't think they need that. I think there could be a younger team out there that would need Cassidy. Just like I don't think Utah's going to do, but that idea, Utah, that kind of a team that's right on the edge, that's getting there. Cassidy puts them over the top.
Last one, Commie, from the Canadian standpoint. Your boy Scott Arneal, they decide to make a change.
God, they're still
Cassidy
sniffing around
DeBoer.
too, those Jets.
They are still kind of there.
Yeah, they're lingering.
Me. Hey, there's a few things I look at every day. One is I look at Detroit because I want them to make the playoffs. They're the one team. The second thing I look at are where are the Jets sitting? And they are not going away.
They're not gone yet.
No, they're 3 points out. There's two. They just beat the Avalanche. I was pissed off on Saturday night. I think that's when those games were, and every game worked out in their favor. Anyways, nothing against Winnipeg, but God, I hope this comes to fruition and Arneal gets gassed, but I don't know would either one of them take that job too? I don't know.
Only if they had to.
I know. I mean, you have good goaltending. You have some. I don't know. Cassidy can have that. You know what? If that opened it up, the three of us should. Why don't we put our names in? We'll go in there and be the staff.
Why not?
We've got a great goaltender. Yeah, people in Winnipeg will love us.
All right, figure out the iPad. And I'll be your video coach.
Yeah,
let's make it happen.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay. Razor, another topic over the last few days that got some interest across the country. Linus Ullmark, who really has bounced back through all the rumors, all the dumpster fire, and the disaster that this season. The Sens are hanging on. Tough loss, though, on the weekend to Tampa. They blow a 2-goal lead and let it get away against the Lightning. But, Travis Green was asked, how did you go with James Reimer instead of Ullmark? And Green basically saying, look, Linus Ullmark needed a day off. It was unavailable for us. They didn't have another game until Tuesday. So I'd be curious, is that fair or foul? What are your thoughts on a goalie saying, I need a day at a time like this where everything matters?
Oh, it's a story. It's a story. I had it a little bit on the radio, the NHL everywhere today. So the thing with Linus is, and this is kind of the best way to describe it, I think, is he's a Ferrari. Everything has to be perfectly in tune. Mind, body, spirit, everything has to feel good for him to think that he can go out and win a hockey game. There's a lot of guys that are Dodge Rams. They just go. They're just going, and they're going to figure it out, and they'll go. Dominic Hasek was a Ferrari, right? Remember his time in Ottawa? He just didn't play a whole series. It was like he's healthy, he's making every save in practice, but he can't play a game. He was a Ferrari. I put Linus in that spot as well, where for whatever reason in his brain, there's days where he's tired or whatever, he can't go, and it's pointless to put him in that situation, and that's kind of what you're dealing with. So it's got to be nightmarish stuff for the coach to do. Poor Green, he's a Dodge Ram, right?
Yeah,
he played a Dodge Ram. He is that's what he is. So him dealing with this is kind of comical to me. But that's really what it is. He for whatever reason, Linus doesn't feel like he can play. He's not going to play, and he feels like he was doing the best thing for the team. And it's okay if he wins the next 3 games, right? If he's in Ottawa and he wins it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week, all of that goes away. But if he goes and lays an egg tomorrow night, he's put a big bullseye on his back for the explanation of, well, you should have just played last week too. So that's being in the Canadian market. Linus has to deal with these things, and I'll be interested to see how it plays out this week. But
have you ever done that? Have you ever done that?
No, I mean, I never had really the opportunity. I mean, I played 72 games one year. I wasn't taking, I'd want to play every single game. Even when I was hurt and my growing was in half, would I ever say no? Because in your head, it's like one of those teammate things, but not everyone's built the same way.
Commie, did you ever see anything like that?
No.
Or play with a guy like that?
I mean, I'm going to say no. I don't remember it, but I also don't know if I would have really heard about it.
There were some players like that too, though, right, Commie?
No, I agree. Like one that came to mind, and I never played with the guy, but he's in Carolina now. I've heard the exact same thing about that Anderson, where if he doesn't, if things aren't perfect, he's out. Like he ain't playing. The exact same description, which I think at times in Carolina has gotten a little bit tiresome, where it's like, hey man, like we need you. Like let's
you didn't
go
give a
here.
goal up all week in practice. How are you not? But there's
I mean, at the end of the day, if the guy doesn't think he can win, I mean, I will say it could lead. Well, it'll be he better play good this week.
Yes.
Or here we go in Ottawa again.
I mean, I think, in one breath, that you appreciate the honesty to say, or the transparency to say, hey, look, I just don't think I have it today. But at the time, it's like, man, like this is what this is what we're paying you for. This is what we're playing for. So, Jacob Markstrom's one that I find that when he gets overworked, kind of, I don't think he's ever pulled himself out, but there's a goalie that when you play too many minutes, you play too many innings, you see a fatigue just based on what I've seen over the last decade or so. Yep. But that was a wild one. And I think to your point, both of you guys, like if Linus Ullmark poops the bed this week, it's going to be a lot of questions on a season that's already been a difficult one for a guy who was a former Vezina Trophy winner. Commie, finish this sentence. Hearing that Troy Terry is the first player in NHL history to play 50-plus games in a season without recording a single hit is what?
Well, so you sent me this earlier, thank God, because if you would have just busted that on me. So my first inclination was to say soft as baby shit. That was the first one. Then I read it again, your text, and I'm like, that can't be true. So I went and clicked, and sure enough, he's got 0 hits on the year. So then I started thinking about it more. I'm like, but he's a point-a-game player. He's playing 18 minutes a night, 3 of which are on the power play. So 15 minutes he's out there even strength, about maybe. And I'm thinking like, that's actually kind of remarkable, borderline. Like to go through over 50 games, you're putting up a point a game. So you're in the mix. It's not like you're playing 30 seconds. You're 18, take the power play time away. You're probably not going to be throwing body checks then, but 15 minutes a night, let's call it, for 50 plus games, and not 1 point. Even if you accidentally run into somebody or what I mean? Like,
it's hard to do.
That's hard to do. Like, how do you not hey, I'm angling this guy off towards the boards. You know, I know I'm not saying he's good. Obviously, he's not the type of player that's going to take somebody's head off. But like, oh, you know, I mean, I'll just get in his way and rub him out here a little bit, and you know, it'll help me get back before him and give a little space for my D. This guy's not touching anybody. So I'll take my soft as baby shit was my first inclination right away. I'm like, no hits. But the more I think about it, I'm actually kind of impressed.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I thought
1,000,000%.
you were lying. I'd never heard anything about this before. So I'm
It's
like,
really unbelievable.
wow. I don't know if I'd want to have my name on that record personally. I mean, well,
I think you would lose your. I think you would lose your birthright from Sasky. I think if you were. If you
I
went that
wouldn't have
long
made
with
it if I started and let's say I started game 1 and then with my skill set and I got to game 3 with 0 hits. I think by game 4 I'd be back playing for the Albany River Rats.
The only thing the coach and
Maybe the
GM,
coast.
the only thing the coaches and GMs did was look at your time on ice and your hits.
That's
as
it.
soon as the box score was done. What did Commie do tonight?
That's right.
So let me throw this to you guys because maybe our friends at Ozune can set a line when the postseason starts. Over under 1. Troy Terry gets a hit in the postseason.
Oh,
Are you taking the over? The under?
It would be great.
Game gets
He
more
comes out
physical.
like
but-
6 hits in the first period.
Oh, yeah. What if we're recording right now and they got the Ducks. I was going to send a little tweet out. You know, Toronto's in Anaheim. You got the little grudge game there with Matthews. What if he comes out tonight and just starts throwing his body around? He'll go from 0 to 12 tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I'll show
like-
you guys.
I'll
This is
show
The
you
easy.
introduction. Yeah. It's like Bizarro Land or the introduction of the opposites from that old You Can't Do That on Television show for anybody born in the 80s watching that. Okay, Bobby McMann. What a pickup for Seattle. And 11 points in 8 games. For both you guys who've obviously had different stops in your careers, what can a change of scenery do? Because obviously you can see it can go sideways and it can go downhill for some guys, but talk about the impact. Razor, maybe you can start with this one in terms of the impact of what a move can do for someone.
Well, it can, if they're in a situation where they're not completely utilized or they get to a situation where now you go from third line to second line, it's just new eyes. The same reason why you hire a new coach. Torts is now there. It just gives a different voice, a different motivation. But the real motivation for McCann at this point now, probably thought maybe I'll sign in Toronto, maybe I'll resign. Now he goes to Seattle and knows he's a free agent. Now he's going wherever he wants. Now he is motivated by moolah because he could end up being, if he finds a way to get Seattle into the playoffs here, becomes a big part of this, keeps that pace going, he's going to get paid a whole lot more than what he would have if he had stayed in that Toronto market. So I think he's motivated by being a free agent. But again, it's just like a new coach, that change of scenery. If your headspace is in one place and you get somewhere and you're all of a sudden you're on the power play, you're obviously all of a sudden you're getting 2 more minutes, your confidence can explode. And it seems like that's where Bobby Boy is right now.
Commie?
Fresh starts and first impressions. So, you know, it's a brand new, fresh. You want to, like I said, your first impression with new teammates and new coaches, probably maybe just as importantly for sure. So if you get the opportunity to take advantage of it, it can definitely be awesome, which that seems like it's working out well for him now. I will say from my own personal experience, basically being in the exact same spot he was in when I got moved to Ottawa. Now that went the other way for me. I went from playing 22, 23 minutes in Carolina. I'm a pending unrestricted free agent because I knew Carolina wasn't going to sign me. And then I go to Ottawa, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in the 6 hole, and I'm playing like 12 minutes, and we're getting spanked every game. Now I had to go to Bryan Murray after like 9 games and basically come unglued on him and be like, what did you trade for me for? Like, why am I here? And, you know, Brian and I had it, and I like Bryan Murray. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I do.
What was that like, that conversation?
No, he was good about it. Like, I opened it up with, like, I didn't go right to my minutes, but I'm like, you know, he took over. He was now the head coach. We got rid of John Paddock, which I got nothing against John either. My dad worked for John in Regina for a long time. But, you know, I don't know what the hell was. To this day, I've never spoken to Paddock. But anyways, you know, he's gone. Brian takes over. We're getting spanked left and right. And our practices, we were we were doing practices that like I could put it on. It would be a practice I would do at the University of North Dakota summer hockey school for kids. We're doing horseshoes and we're doing a cross ice pass 2-0 down the ice. Meanwhile, we walk into Buffalo and we get our doors blown off 6-0. 5 of the goals are tap-ins from in front of the net. So I go to Bryan. I'm like, hey, like, what are we doing? And he's like, well, what are you talking about? I go, Bryan, I've been here for 10 games, let's call it. I'm like, we are getting smoked. Nobody is in front of the net. I asked where I'm supposed to be in the D zone. I got either no answer, like asking other players, or I got 3 different ones. I'm like, why are we not working on D zone coverage? And Bryan was like, hey, well, it's late in the season. I don't want injuries. I'm like, Bryan, I'm not saying we go out here and we're just trying to pulverize each other into the boards, like a little bit of structure. And so I opened it up with that. And then I waltzed into like, hey, that's supposed to be where I'm good. I'm an unrestricted. I just straight up told him, I'm like, Bryan, why did you trade for me? I go, this has been a catastrophe so far. Like, give me a shot. Like, give me some minutes and let me see if I can do a little something. So anyways. And Bryan did, and then I led their team in playoff scoring.
Figure it out.
I'm waiting for that. Waiting for that. Yeah, what a story. Awesome.
Yeah,
I've never heard you tell that before.
Yeah, and we were, well, obviously, I think I've said this before, but yeah, led the team in playoff scoring, and I think I was back home before the Masters even started. It's the quickest 4-game sweep ever.
But still, Senators playoff scoring leader.
That's right.
That particular year. So
That's
remember that, everybody.
Yep.
Okay, fan question of the week, everybody. This one coming from Buggy Boo. Canadian teams are commonly on no trade lists. What can be done to attract and keep top players in Canadian markets? Who doesn't want to live in a beach community of palm trees where you do your local shopping by a golf cart and pay 0 state taxes? Do you ever think that Canadian teams outside of Montreal will ever be able to compete?
Well, they will. They'll always be able to compete. There's always the NHL. Look at Winnipeg. Look at all those guys signing 9-year deals there to stay there. That's of all the play. Like that's a tough one for most places, but they love it there. They stay there, and you, as a Canadian market, might have to work a little harder. You might have to keep everybody a little happier off the ice.
You got to win, though, right?
You got to win. That was going to be my final thing. At the end, when Vancouver's winning, no one's worried about living there or not living there. If Quinn Hughes was if he was leading the division right now, he wouldn't have asked for a trade or wanted to get out. It's all about winning, and you need players to win. So you have the chicken or the egg there. But the reality is Toronto's always going to be a market that people want to go to. Their original 6. You got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but the reality of the question is, it's hard. It's gotten harder. Guys want to play in Florida on the beaches. They don't want to pay taxes. So you have to make up for it in different ways. And the best way to do it is winning and having good groups, good nucleus, draft well, and keep guys there.
Commie?
Yeah, my short answer, I mean, there's some different ways you could go with this for sure, but my short answer to his question is yes, I do think so. And when you look, I know it's been 30 plus years since a Canadian team has won, but in those 30 years as well, Calgary's been to the finals once, we came close. Ottawa was in the finals. Montreal's been in the finals. Edmonton's been in the finals 3 times, including the last 2 years.
Vancouver's in the finals.
Vancouver has been in the finals twice in that stretch. So it's it's basically a third, call it like 10 out of the 30 years. There's been a Canadian team in the finals. So it's not like they're definitely sniffing around. There's some bad luck. So my answer to that question is yes. I would say, I think if you were to get honest answers from guys on why, I don't think sure, maybe for some guys, the weather, I don't think that's the end all be all. Canada's cold. Minnesota's cold. Boston is cold. Buffalo's cold. Whatever. I don't think that's a big deal. I will say, to do the winning thing, when you're winning in Canada, man, there's no place better to play. Now, when you're losing in Canada, it's a little tougher. The 2 biggest complaints I would think if you ask guys and they gave you an honest answer would be the media end of it, where when things aren't going good, things can get a little negative. And then I think in general, I mean, we don't have to go down this road at all, but I don't think it would hurt if maybe the taxes got lowered a little bit in Canada and we had a little less government in general. So, like, the taxes is obviously, I mean, that is a factor for sure. As much as they say it isn't, like, guys are going to look at that too as well. I mean, everybody loves money.
Yeah, when you're signing a deal, you're asking what the bottom line is. You don't what the number is irrelevant. It's how much is going into my bank account every 2 weeks. It's not what the actual number is.
Yeah, no, that's I think that those are they're all real answers, and I think they're all that's the reality. I think Toronto's shown over the last few years where as a team that was competitive, like look at how many players wanted to play in Toronto the last few years.
For sure.
Like Joe Thornton, who was constantly playing in Northern California, all of a sudden wanted to finish up with the Leafs. You know, Patrick Marleau came up there. John Tavares left the Islanders to go play in Toronto. And I remember talking to John a long time ago, and he was like, I would never want to play in Toronto. And here he is, playing in Toronto after all these years. So I think if you're good, Commie, go ahead.
To touch on your point, hey, imagine how awesome it would be if you're on the team that breaks this streak in Canada.
Oh,
exactly.
You're the man. And honestly, I mean, sure, if it's Toronto, but honestly, I don't care what city it is. You're the man. You're on the team that snapped the streak. And there's a lot of Canadians that won't forget that, which I think that's cool.
I think the way that we as Canadians look at Kawhi Leonard for his one and done year with the Toronto Raptors going back 7 years ago, right? He came, he saw, he conquered. They rolled out a red carpet. There was like a huge watch for this guy. And he said, I'm out. I'm going to LA. But you know what? Honestly, Kawhi Leonard ever steps foot on Canadian soil. Like, I think any basketball fan, like, thank you for bringing us a title on this. And I think exactly that point, like whoever ends the streak, whether it's in Winnipeg, in Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, they will be remembered as a team, maybe not quite like the 72s Team Canada squad, but I think they will certainly be revered, not just in that market, but I think across the country will be like,
oh yeah,
way to go. Thank you for finally doing that and shutting everybody up. Okay, winding things down. Don't puck it up. I tell you what, here's what I got for my Don't Puck It Up this week. And this is for every team getting ready to load up and lock in for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't overdo it with pregame ceremonies. And I say this after watching the Blue Jays opening day ceremony the other day. That took forever. Imagine if they actually won. All right? Less is more, okay? I celebrated 3 birthdays in that time of that Blue Jays pregame ceremony. Nobody wants to sit and watch a 4-hour event, all right? Wrap that stuff up. Playoffs are looming. Keep it tight. Eyes on the prize. Don't puck it up.
Well, I'm going to go.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'll go. Razor, Seaball, if you do want to see an excellent pregame ceremony before our Sens took the playoffs in 2008, go Google that one. You will get a good laugh out of that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They went with, like, what was that movie, 3000? Somebody, Sens fans send it to me once in a while. You know, 3,000 where the
300.
guys are, or 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the guys are ripped and they're basically in their underwear. Well, the Senators did that, sent some dude out in tights and like a shield, and he walked by us, and there's a picture. He's walked right through us, and the guys are like, hey, like watching, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I was this close to like burst out laughing or like leaving. I'm like, what are we doing? And then we didn't see it because we were still in the room, but apparently he was out there and he had his like speech or whatever on the inside of his shield, and he kept messing it up, and it was a catastrophe. And then we got smoked. So it was, anyway.
Less is more.
Less is more. You're right. We should have just went out there and just take the beating in the normal way.
I was going to say, it's kind of how your conversation with Bryan Murray went, right? Somebody coming running out in a diaper and a sword. What's going on here?
For my Don't Puck It Up, I know which way Stu wants to go, but I don't think the timing is right there for the Leafs. We'll see how the next little bit goes. But, yeah, you know what? I don't want to harp on it, and I don't want it to be 2 weeks in a row, but I am going to do it. You mentioned it last week, Detroit Red Wings. Get in the playoffs. Please don't puck this up. It's been a really good season by and large. Don't puck this up. Let's find a way to get in. I know it ain't looking great right now, but Let's win some games.
Drew, real quick on that. Do you think Stevie Y is in trouble if they miss?
No.
No.
All right.
He's got it.
He's Stevie Y.
He's Stevie Y. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. Stay away. You know who I am.
The guy who isn't fine right now, and we have to touch on it. Tiger Woods, don't puck it up. Get a driver. This guy, he cannot get out of his own way. What a story to come out on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Just fantastic news story. Right as the Masters is coming up, right when I was excited to watch him walk around Augusta National. Don't puck it up, Tiger Woods. Get a driver.
I like actually. That was sad, yeah, for sure. And you know, you don't want to like jump to conclusions, but he wasn't drinking, so that's awesome, right? He blew a 0, but that wouldn't take, you know, so you can maybe leap that, you know, he's had some of the, because of his back and body and neck and everything, surgeries, maybe, you know, pills, but who knows? I'll take this opportunity. You know what? Where do I put with Tiger Woods? If you're watching, I will happily be your driver.
Whatever.
I will pack my shit here in Arizona and I will drive right across the country to Florida. I will move in to Jupiter and I will be your full-time driver. I will be available whenever you want me. $1 million a year seems reasonable. No, for Tiger?
100%. And you'll be a locked vault. No stories, whatever you want.
No
drive
stories.
whoever you need.
I had an excellent Uber rating when I was driving for them. I know what I'm doing.
You've got experience. Yes, you got a good resume.
He can do whatever he wants. I ain't telling anybody anything. I mean, unless I think it's going to be a huge hit on the podcast, then maybe I'll drop it out there. But I'm kidding. Anyways, good call, Razor. That was a tough one to see.
Yeah, just disappointing more than anything, right?
Yeah.
Like just what the hell are you doing at this stage in your life? And everybody, honestly, and then the other thing is that everybody was excited to see this guy play again, as you said, at Augusta, and here we are now, and it's like, well, that's not happening.
No.
So, all right. Well, on that note, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube for more Clearing the Crease content powered by Ozune.net, at least until Commie gets hired as a driver somewhere in Florida.
I'm serious. I'll move to Florida.
Well, we can always continue the show from Florida.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow along on Apple, Spotify, X, Instagram, TikTok, because the road to the Stanley Cup is wide open. The clearest route to winning big is to play on Ozune.net. Ozune's got you covered for all props, game lines, futures from now until the Cup final and beyond. Make your power play score big with Ozune. It is your turn now. Fun episode as always. He's Razor. He's Commie. I'm Sobalski. We'll see you next time right here on the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by Ozune.net. See ya.